The honey badger verse of the day today is Ecclesiastes 12:13-14. Now all it's been heard. Here's the conclusion matter. Fear God and keep his commands, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether good or bad. And there's two main themes in the book of Ecclesiastes. One is it's seen from a human perspective. Man is the measure of all things. But then it says about this, when man's the measure of all things. And Ecclesiastes 1:2, meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless. In verse 1:14 in the introduction, it says, I've seen everything that goes on under the sun. This too is meaningless, chasing after the sun. And the word meaningless means breath or vapor. If you ever taken a big breath in the cold and breathe out, and you see the cold air and it's gone in an instant, that's how life is from a human perspective. We're here 1 minute, gone the next minute. And then the second key theme in Ecclesiastes is seasons. There's a time and season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3:1, you have a list of 14 things, and you'll have things like a time for love, and then time for hate, time to build, and time to tear down. And 14 is a number of David. So what the writer's teaching is that there's a time and season for the Messiah to come, and that the only way we find meaning in life is in God's plan. In fact, Solomon names all his accomplishments, and he says these are meaningless, but he leaves out the most important one. The most important thing and most famous thing Solomon is known for is building the temple. And the reason he leaves it out is because God called him to do it. And anything God calls us to do has meaning. And there's a time for God to send his Messiah. He sent his Messiah, Jesus. And there's also a time when the Messiah will come back, and we'll see that the world is filled with meaning. And on that day, all of us will have to give an account self to God. And this is a conclusion matter. We need to fear God and obey his commandments. And what he calls us to do, we need to do. And when he calls us to move, we need to move. What is God calling you today? What is the season you're in your life today? Are you in a season of winter where your roots are growing deeper? Are you in a season of summer where you're seeing the miracles of God and amazing things are happening? Are you in a season of spring where there's new beginnings? Fall where you're growing in your faith and preparing for the winter? What season has God placed you in, and what is God calling you to? And as we look to God, our lives are filled with meaning and purpose.